She is here tonight? Okay, if not, let's just give her a hand. Congratulations.
6-9-4, Mr. J. Miles on behalf of the bus contractors. Mr. Miles, you'll have 5 minutes, and when the 5 minutes up, Miss Sandra will raise her hand up here.
As you all know, contractors have been discussing our bus contracts, and the contractors is not very happy with what has been produced. The issues the contractors are having with the transportation department is they're into benefit for each party. The expectation from each party will be defined within the contract, so there is no misunderstandings, and the process will operate smoothly. However, to arrive at this conjunction, both parties must concede to the other somewhat. We feel we have made concessions and are willing to continue to work towards a mutual agreement with the transportation department. However, we feel we are not being met with the same enthusiasm from the transportation department. One of the things is the term of the contract. We're unable to get financing on the equipment needed if we do not have a 4-year term. Reference to Tennessee Code annotated 49-6-2101. It being the purpose of this section to permit a reasonable degree of employment security for such school transportation personnel. As you know, we need the equipment to accomplish our task. The transportation department has and continues to only offer a 2-year term. We have few buses that will have to be removed from service this year due to mileage per Tennessee Code annotated 49-6-2109, thus requiring a contract to seek financing. Payment. As you know, contractors are paid by the seat rate and a fuel rate scale, neither of which has had a rate change for over 10 years. The board members granted the contractors a $200 bus supplement to be added to the pay schedule for each bus route approximately 8 years ago. Then the board increased it to $400 rate approximately 5 years ago. Now the transportation department has decided to roll that money into a seat rate increase and call it a raise. That is money that you have already given to the contractor. Furthermore, the way it has been rolled over into the seat rate scale has created a cut and pay to some contractors. Anything less than a 72-passenger bus will take a pay cut. I think most of you board members will send an email with a chart. If you did not receive that, we have one contractor that has a 25-passenger bus. He will go in minus $255.47 on his. And that's at the $1.71 seat pay based on the 17.3 days. A 66-passenger bus will be minus $18.44. A 72-passenger bus will have $16.24, a 78, $50.93, and an 84-passenger, $85.61. We are asking for a seat rate increase of 3% for each year of the contract. We would also like to see our bus supplement, $400, reinstated as a line item on our pay sheet. We've also requested a 5-mile-day deadhead adjustment to be included in our daily mileage. This will cover the extra travel between schools and then return to the schools to pick up children who did not get on the bus when it first came to school. We would also like to see our fuel rate scale increased to better meet the demands of today's market. The transportation supervisor said she would need to move money from the seat rate to increase the fuel mileage rate. Just moving the money around in the equation is not a raise. The transportation department has always reimbursed the contractor for half the bus tag fees and are now rejecting that benefit. We would like to see it met as the normal operating benefit we receive. Also, we're asking for payment as needed in section 4 of the contract if for any unforeseen circumstances occur out of the control of the director of schools or the contractor causing school closure. We're asking to be compensated for any mandatory meetings the transportation department requires our drivers to attend, as is customary, employees are paid for their time. We all know, the contractors all know pretty much how you stand. You've seen the contract, you've seen what's being presented. I'm not gonna go on a whole lot here, but I am gonna say this in closing. We, the contractors, are depending on you to deny this contract and ask for new negotiations between all parties, even if it requires you to contact the governor's office and ask for additional funding. If you decide to go ahead and approve this contract as written, from my understanding, the contractors will consider not signing this contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. 6-9-5, approval of consent and regular agenda. This time we need to amend the agenda to add at the first, a new business. There's 3 policies that we have to have for a first reading. I need a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now I need a motion to approve the consent and regular agenda as amended.
So moved, Chairman.
We got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-9-6 approval of minutes from the May 19, 2022 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 6-9-7 approval of the June 2022 budget amendments. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is there anything over 50,000 that changes in there, Chief?
There are some, yes. There's one measurement for general public schools for bringing in Tennessee Debt Management for roof damage. That was $480,000.
That's where they're paying for.
60,000, we're amending Phillips' budget for overages and propane and natural gas lines. That's just later year-end corrections. And there's one for $133,000 for money from fund balance to pay for the overage in transportation. And there's one for $138,000. The audit is making it. And it's repricing Dr. Weaver's salary.
What was that about the transportation? What was that for now?
The transportation line is over $133,000. Yeah. So that's paid.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? On to new business. The 3 policies for the first reading, I think everybody got them here. I just need a motion to approve.
Which ones then we're talking about?
The three for the first reading.
The policy?
Yeah, the policy.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion? Need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Any disapprove? 6-9-8, approval of the bus contract for bid 2022 through 2024 as approved by the Transportation Committee. Who do we?
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, there's been, first of all, I appreciate what Mr. Miles said. I want to say that there's been a lot Well, people want to say it now, but I think there's been a lot of good communication. There's been a lot of back and forth. There's been people sitting in a room and trying to talk to each other. I will be the first to say that I've never been through a negotiation in my life where everybody's satisfied at the end of it. But I can say this, when we look at the first iteration of this contract that we came back with months ago and looked at, there's a lot of changes that have been made to this contract because of input from the contractor. When we first talked about it, the seat rate wasn't in there. Now it's in there. That's what we heard over and over again people wanted was the seat rate as the concept for payment. We're paying for insurance. That was something that we wanted to make clear. We're paying for surveillance cameras and maintaining those surveillance cameras. I mean, I'm not going to go through every single thing, but a lot of what you see woven into this contract is different because we did listen to the contractors. And I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody that at the end of the day, what you see here is everything. That was one that I think Mr. Miles said, the things that certainly people are still upset about, and I understand that. But I can tell you that Lisa has worked hard, Dr. Windsor's worked hard, Sanders worked hard. I'm never going to say I worked that hard. I tried. But we put together what I think is a fair contract, and it's a transparent contract. Everybody in here can look at this contract in 10 years and still see how to read it, still see how to pay it, and it's going to be consistent. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no wiggle room. It is what it is. For example, and it's just one example. If we look at Section 3, it talks about spare buses. There have been questions about spare buses. How many can you have? Now there's a table. So if you have 1 to 3 routes, you get 1 spare bus that will cover. If you have 7 to 9 routes assigned to you through your contract, you get 3 spares. And you'll actually list those spares and all the equipment you have, including all your other buses, in Exhibit A. So now if Lisa or anybody in the department needs to find out, what bus numbers and buses and spares are assigned to certain routes, it's going to be in one place and easy to find. I could go through every provision of this. I'm sure there'll be questions, but I can tell you that there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth, and a lot of movement, and a lot of edits to this thing because of those conversations. Again, I'll end by saying I know not everybody's happy. I don't blame you. I get that. I wish I could create a contract in my life that would make everybody happy. But I can assure you that everybody here that's been involved in this process has tried to do something that's fair and transparent.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Got a motion? Do we have a second? All right, got a motion and a second. Now, any discussion? We're going to do a roll call vote. Dr. Shipman?
Yes.
Mr. Upton?
Yes.
Mr. Weiss?
I'll have to pass. I don't know enough about it yet to make an intelligent decision. I'll pass.
Mr. Kelly? Yes. Ms. Freeman?
I'm going to pass.
Ms. Cagle?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Mr. Chairman, we had an item reflected in the minutes of the Transportation Committee that when funds come available, because we think that by the action that we took, that there's going to be some funds available. And in good faith, we told them that we would distribute these funds to these contractors. So I want it reflected in the minutes. And these contractors can remember it too. If we come 2 years from now or 4 years from now, go back to the June minutes, and it'll be right in there that, that we promised them in good faith that we would distribute these funds out. Well, that's what we discussed in the Transportation Committee.
Six -9-10s.
You got it. They passed.
Okay. Mr. Weiss, you want to vote?
I'm sorry.
You want to vote now?
No, I
Okay.
passed. I don't.
Ms. Freeman?
I don't
We're
know
going
enough
to come
about
back at a later date, and we're going to look at giving them the funding. Correct?
If there's funding
If there
available
is.
at the end of the year.
That's after we go through.
it. Is it?
End of contract.
Yeah.
End of the term of the
End of the
contract.
contract.
End of the term. By the time you've looked at routes and fuel has come down, we'll look at it, the same pot of money we have, and look at how we could redistribute it to give them more.
I vote yes.
Is it Robert's Rules of Order correct to ask that we postpone this, table this, and get more? Because there's several, and I talked with him about this, and there's several things that I still don't understand.
I don't think at this point.
No, not
With the
now.
motion,
Okay.
you could have moved for that or moved for an amendment, but not at this point with the vote. It's already been taken.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wondering if, Mr. Chairman, if this addendum, that Mr. Williams referred to, needs to be a part of the motion.
Well,
I think you can just do a separate motion to add that.
You can't add that, you can't add that now if I.
No, we're talking about two different things. I mean, the contract so what's happened right now, as I understand it, is the board has moved to approve this contract to put it out for bid. I think you could do a separate motion to say that if at the end of the term there is money remaining after these contracts have been utilized in the budget, from what Ms. Arden has estimated, then we would redistribute that to the contractor. You can do that as a separate motion.
that's my motion.
All right. Do we have a second on Mr.
We
Williams'
have to
motion?
hold up the contract first.
They already
We've
approved the
already
contract.
voted on it.
We did
Second.
vote, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
excuse me.
All right. On the amendment, or the second motion, you got a motion and a second, Mr. Upton.
Roll call.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. Roll call vote. Mr. Shipman?
Yes.
Mr. Upton?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Pass.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Freeman?
Yes.
Ms. Cagle?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Ridgel?
Yes.
I vote yes. Still want to pass? Okay.
Can I say something?
Mhm.
I'm gonna put somebody on the spot. I mean, we've listened, I know Jeff Brown's a contractor too. How do you feel so far about the new contract? I mean, you're, Shannon, I know you're the contractor. I mean,
as far as we're concerned, I mean, you know, with one bus, I mean, and there's future, like the 3%, I mean, that's never been offered. I've been around this for a long time, since I was little. You know, I mean, there's good and bad both in it, but I mean, it's something that's livable at the moment. I mean, we're in different times now than anybody's ever experienced. So, I mean, that's just, you know, our reflection.
thank you.
6-9-10, approval of the 2022-2023 board meeting calendar. I think everybody has a copy of that.
Were the choices the third Thursday in those,
I believe that's correct.
Yes.
the months?
Yes.
Third Thursday or,
First.
For the first.
I would prefer third Thursday. Those still,
You said the third?
The third Thursday.
Yeah, because I have city board on the first.
All right.
So I'm gonna.
Third, we're on the second now, third.
we're on the second.
Second now.
I think it's
If we
3
have to
months.
move any, move it to the third.
If there's three meetings, it has to be moved. Me and Joe would prefer to do the third. Or Joe and myself, whatever.
So somebody want to put that into a motion?
So
We accept it on the 3, going with the third Thursday.
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Williams' motion, Ms. Cagle with the second. Any other discussion?
I believe we all leave it at the second where it's been. I don't know how many other people have looked ahead and try to plan. If there's only 3 dates we have to change.
It's for graduation.
Yeah, one's graduation, one's conference.
Yes, yeah.
I mean,
And
I'd
then fall
rather leave
break.
it the second too, but that's dates that
It's-
students have
Yeah,
to
it's
take.
conflict.
Every year we have to do that. So
It
we're just
doesn't
trying to do
matter
it
what date
upfront.
we're gonna have it on, there's gonna have to be something done usually somewhere, isn't there?
One more in conference.
Yeah.
TSBA conference is one, the week of graduations is
Week
the
of
other,
graduation.
and then election, fall break is the other.
That's if it's on the second.
Yes.
I mean,
These
Yes.
three will be for
Yes.
this next year.
and what about the third? Has anybody looked into that? If there's any conflict on it, if we move to the third?
They're
Nothing
not at this
scheduled.
time. There's nothing scheduled for the district.
They give us a choice of the third or the first.
Right.
Mm. Any other discussion? All approved, say aye.
What is it, what is it, first of all? State that again, what we're doing here.
We're gonna accept the calendar the way it is, except for the 3 weeks. We're gonna go with the third Thursday instead of the second.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay. Motion passes. 6-9-11, Director of Schools evaluation results. I think everyone has already received those, and I think everything turned out well. Anybody have any comments or suggestions on how we did this, or?
Was that out of 10 or out of 5?
I think out of 10, Dean. No, it was out of 5. It was out of 5.
One in every crowd.
So we should have done this time normally 10.
Yes.
I didn't know, when I first saw it, I thought, God, there's something wrong.
That just means some people filled out more than one.
You went through it 2 or 3 times.
Yes. I will say, if I may make a comment, I appreciate all of the time and effort that you put into doing the evaluation. I know that it's not something that's easy or that's pleasant, and you have to hear a lot of feedback throughout the year. I know it's not something that you base on just one conversation or just your thoughts. So I do appreciate that. I did read the comments. I hope that for anybody that has had issues, that you are seeing those resolved through some of my practices and the way that I do things, my leadership, building trust, trying to maintain trust with this board. You've been, for me, a pleasure to work with. It doesn't mean you're always easy to work with, and neither am I, but we have done a good job, I think, of coming to the table and being able to discuss openly and honestly how we feel about things. And even if we don't agree, I think that we have all done a very good job of remaining on the same team and trying to get back on the same page. So I'm grateful for that. That does not exist in every board. It doesn't exist in many boards, actually. So I don't take that for granted, and I want you to know that. And as far as communication, I over-communicate sometimes. For anybody who thinks I don't communicate enough, it's probably to your benefit, because when I do communicate, it's a lot, and you know that. I try to give you every detail. I try to give you the news and the good news, and I try to spare you from the bad if possible. If it doesn't need to get to you, then I feel like that's how it should be. If it does need to get to you, then I'm going to make sure that it does. But that's something I'm continuously trying to improve. And so just keep the feedback coming, and that goes for the administrators as well. They filled it out. Anybody that participated in this, I just appreciate your time and your feedback, and keep it coming. You don't have to wait till evaluation time. Thank you.
Anyone else? Right. We need to go back and do 6-9-9. We skipped over it. Approval of the board policy 2.805 purchasing as recommended by the policy committee to meet federal monitoring requirements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion. Do I need a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All approved? Aye. Any disapproved, like sign? 6-9-12, approval of policies at second reading is recommended by the policy committee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 6-9-13, Director of Schools report.
So we have some exciting updates that are coming to the room that you're sitting in. I think you'll be pleased with what we have coming down the pike to make it actually look like a boardroom worthy of your presence and of everybody sitting in here. And because of that, the July board meeting will need to be relocated to Sequoia High School. So we'll actually be at Sequoia. for that meeting, just to make sure that the renovations that we're doing in here, updates, I should say, that they have time to complete those. Hopefully by August we'll be okay, but we'll keep you posted if something needs to happen with that. The virtual school is officially open for the 2022-23 school year for students in grades 4 through 12. So we are excited about that. We have over 100 students who've completed the interest form, and an ample number of teachers have also expressed interest in teaching for the virtual school. So we're going to keep the enrollment open through the official enrollment period that we have for the district, which ends July 15th. And then we'll continue to publicize the opportunity for students to return to virtual education if they have, in fact, left the system or made the decision to choose virtual. We want to offer them the opportunity to do so through us. Summer school is well underway. Our students are having a lot of fun while they're learning. A lot of great things going on in the schools. We've been out and about visiting, and if you do use social media, please look on Facebook. Check out the posts of all the great experiences that students are being given in summer learning academies across the district. I'd like to thank our school administrators and the teachers who are teaching and everyone who's assisting in that program and have dedicated their time this summer to our summer learning camps. So thank you for that. And that's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Madam Director,
Yes, sir.
bleacher report. I know you've already sort of bleacher report.
Well, I wish I had confetti to come out of the ceiling. They're actually not only ordered, they're on the property. They are actually here. You can touch them. They're that close to, we're that much closer to being installed. So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
At each school,
Yes.
Sweetwater included.
Build them and they will come. That's their philosophy. They're here. They are here.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. I thought you might.
6-9-14, any other business the board feels necessary?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sure this is not a business request more than anything. I think parents are really concerned about school safety and security right now. It'd be possible to have a report to the board about where we stand with school safety and security at our next board meeting. If some of that needs to be executive session or whatever, that's fine too. I just think that I personally like to know about what's going on in all the schools in terms of protecting our children.
Yes. Absolutely. We're happy to do that. Captain Vineyard has been gathering information on different things that have taken place throughout the district this year as far as school safety and occurrences in the schools, and that includes anything that our SROs have been involved in or any type of event that we have encountered. In addition to that, we did actually, timely, we just attended a YSO meeting, the Youth Service Officer meeting with Judge Thomas yesterday, and those involved in that. That's going to be a huge part of what we are planning to just increase our continued efforts to keep our students safe in our buildings. As well as some training opportunities that we have coming down the pike. We obviously will continue to do the drills. So yes, I'm happy to get information on that and provide the board.
Thank you.
Madam Director,
Yes.
could we include in this, I was at the jail for the court the other day. I'm not gonna tell you what for.
I already know, don't you? I don't know.
But they got metal detectors. Maybe, I don't know how much they cost, and I don't know how much it would slow down at a lot of the schools, which it doesn't. But could we get a cost on that deal out there at the jail, with the courtrooms, the metal detectors, maybe even the high school, with most of these, it's kind of like we was talking about that the other day, and they said it's not outside people really doing the shooting, it's students that's doing the, a lot of times, or they said it wasn't the students, it's always somebody from outside. But those metal detectors, I don't know what the cost, but it might be something to look at.
Yes, we can get costs on that. We did look at one time, and we also looked at the handheld ones, and we did buy some of those for the schools. Cost is always, something that we look at, but there were additional concerns that were shared at that time. It doesn't mean those same concerns exist now, and we'd be happy to talk through those. But at that point, a lot of people in the schools feel like that's sort of it's a negative. Students don't like the feeling of, it reminds you of being in prison or something like that.
That's where we're at.
Right, but it doesn't mean that it's not something we can't discuss again. And as far as, the in and out of the building and the time consumption of putting students through that, those were the issues that were shared with us at the time. So that's why we didn't proceed with that. But we're happy to look at that again and get the information.
And I sat in a meeting in Nashville one time, and there was pros and cons, and some had them, they ended up taking them out after they put them in, because it was just not a good fit. I mean, it was very interesting to sit in and listen to, because,
Which I think one way in with SRO posted, it goes one way in. That's pretty good deterrent too.
yeah, with the SRO.
But that worked pretty good out there, but they wasn't 700 kids.
Well, I think your point, Mr. Wade, we need to do whatever we need to do as a
Yes.
board to try to ensure the safety of our children.
Anything else? 6-9-15, reminder of the school law conference in July. We need to schedule a policy meeting next month. All right, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.